Hello Year 12 and welcome here to exercise 401. We still belong to the finance and loans topic here, but we've moved from finance on to loans. We're going to begin with reducing balance loans today. So typically, right, when you take out a loan, you don't pay it all back at once. Let's say we're talking about a house loan, right? You don't have to wait 20 years and pay the whole lot back. No, you're expected to make perhaps monthly repayments or installments about that loan. Now, when that happens, your principal is being reduced by the repayments, but it's kind of rebounding a little bit as well with the interest calculations. There are some fairly complex methods we can use to calculate and to model this situation, but they're beyond the scope of the Standard 2 course. We're going to use a simpler method where we draw up a table and do each of the calculations one at a time, step by step. Now, this does make it fairly straightforward. The disadvantage of this process is it's not very practical if I'm looking at what happens 240 installments down the track or something like that, right? If I'm making a repayment every month for 20 years, well, that's 240 rows of my table. I wouldn't want to do that. But if we're just looking at the first few months, and typically we will in these questions, this table method works just fine. Pause if you need and read through that question carefully. We're going to jump into example 16 here. Now, the interest added after 1 month. Because we're only dealing with 1 month, it doesn't matter if we use compound or simple interest calculation, right? Because it hasn't had time to compound. The interest is going to be the principal times the rate per month. Now, my rate is 7% per annum, so my rate per month is 7 over 12, all over 100. So the interest here, oops, my interest here, don't know what's going on here. My interest is equal to that principal, 120,000 times, we said it was 7 over 12 over 100, okay, and that's equal to, I should have written smaller, shouldn't I? Right, out comes the calculator. Remember, anything that goes into the calculator needs to be written down. The expression needs to be written down first, and we're going to type it in the same way as it appears on our page. There's my 120,000 times, okay, 7 over 12 over, I don't think I like that. I like the brackets that I put in there, so I'm going to do that. Bracket 7 over 12, close my bracket, okay, over 100. Okay, you might have a shortcut for doing that, and that's perfectly fine, but you do need to make sure that you're being really careful with this. So there we go, my interest in the first month is $700. And I'm going to put that in my table here. $700 interest is charged on that loan or accumulates to that loan in the first month. We then make a repayment of $750, so my balance at the end of the first month is 120,000 plus 700, okay, so we started at 120. The interest took it up to $120,700. Then the repayment brings it back down to, right, if I type that into the calculator, I'm going to get $119,950. You can see that even though I've made a repayment of $750, I've only managed to reduce my principal by $50, right, because 700 of that $750 was used in paying off the interest. 119,950. Now it says to complete the table. So the balance at the beginning of the second month is not $120,000. I now only owe $119,950. Okay, at the beginning of the second month. The interest this time is, right, clear, 119,950. Okay, is this times, we need our bracket, 7 over 12, close bracket, over 100. Oops, fraction decimal. Okay, so you can see here my second month, the interest is slightly less than before, $699.71. The repayment remains $750. Okay, so my balance at the end of the second month is $119,950 plus $699.71 minus $750. Okay, so my balance at the end of the second month is $119,899.71. We bring that balance forward to the beginning of the third month. Okay, so 119,899.71. Recalculate the interest. It'll be a little bit less than $699.71. The repayment will still be $750. Then I take the principal plus the interest minus the repayment to get the balance at the end of the month, and repeat. Okay, and I've gone ahead there and filled those in. Don't fret, you won't be asked to do that many calculations in a typical exam question because it's fairly repetitive. You're more likely to be asked to fill in perhaps just one row or parts of maybe 2 rows of that sort of a table. Okay, you can see it does become fairly time consuming to do that. It's fine to do it 1 month at a time, but over the 20 years or so, it would become somewhat tedious to do it manually like that. Some things to point out with this table before we wrap up the video. You can see that the balance, right, that at the very beginning of that loan we owed $120,000. After 4 months we owe $119,798.25. Essentially we've paid off just over $200. We've managed to reduce the amount we owe by a little bit over $200. But during that time we've made repayments of $3,000. Okay, so $3,000 worth of repayments have only managed to reduce our balance by about $200. That's quite typical with these sorts of loans. As the balance gradually comes down, as the balance gets lower and lower, then that interest, you can see already, the interest has got a little bit smaller. Right, the first month was $700 interest. By the 4th month, right, we're saving nearly $1 per month on interest. Right? We've managed to reduce it a bit. Right, that will come further down all the time. As long as that repayment stays at $750, the interest will gradually become smaller each month. And that means that more of your repayment goes towards paying off the principal rather than just paying off the interest. Right, yeah. That's it for reducing balance loans. Okay. If I can just sort of remind you, you won't typically have to do that many calculations in a single question, but it's important to understand what's going on there, that you do practice doing that a few times. Rightio. If you've got any questions, jot them down so you don't forget what they are. Right, perhaps write them on the booklet you have. Take that to class. Make sure you ask the teacher for some clarification there. And I'll see you next time.